Hey, thank you for coming by, Tori Magoo 44. I'm holding up this book, Going Clear Scientology Hollywood and the Prison of Belief by Lawrence Wright. Came out last year. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend you get it and read it. It's a fantastic book. Recently, last weekend, Alex Gibney and Lawrence went to Sundance with a bunch of other friends of ours who are ex Scientologists speaking out, exposing their stories about the Church of Scientology. And I go like this because, in my view, it is not a church. It's nothing like what you would ever think of as a church. It's really a business because you have to pay for every single level all the way up. And you also get worse the higher up you go, right? They have been calling any of their critics liars for at least 2 decades. I can speak personally from that. In 1979, I had moved to Clearwater, Florida. Well, yeah, we had moved to Largo, which is next to Clearwater, Florida. And there's a funny story on that, but I won't go into it. It's too long. But anyway, we had moved to that area. Richard Tenney was the city commissioner at the time. He had an entire campaign, Save Sparkling Clearwater, Stamp Out Scientology. I had gotten into Scientology to be an auditor, which is like a counselor. And, then we moved to Clearwater and I got called in by what was then called the Guardian's Office. Later, 11 people went to jail and for what they did as part of the Guardian's Office. They changed it to the Office of Special Affairs, which are the guys running the same stuff against Alex Gibney right now and Lawrence Wright. Okay. And all the people that are in the thing. It's the same kind of stuff. They're liars. They didn't tell the truth. So I'm telling you my personal story just so you know. I have 20 years of volunteering for the Church of Scientology. Now, truthfully, when I was in, did I know I was lying? No, I didn't. And I don't think I was lying because I really believed in Scientology and I really believed the critics were awful, horrible people. That's just the way it is. Now, did I know any of the facts that the critics were actually speaking about? No, and that's why I call it the Truman Show. Because if you've ever watched the Truman Show movie, it's about a guy that's born into a movie set. He's the only guy that doesn't know it's a movie set. Everyone else around the world is talking and watching Truman every day. And it's just like you all, you can talk about these things and you think they can too. But here's the trick. They can't. Because Hubbard, the academics who study cults say the two worst cults are the Moonies and the Church of Scientology. Why? Because they build in traps into your mind that you cannot really look, you can't see, you can't really talk to anyone except on the path to freedom, right? It's ironic, I know. And now that the internet's out, it's really funny. I mean, it isn't funny because there's people that are still trapped in it, but the concept is nuts. It's like, really? There's kids that are born with cell phones where they can access all this stuff. And to all of you, thank you. Thank you. And I can't thank you enough to everyone who passes around these links because Scientology isn't up to speed on social networking. They're trying to, but what are they doing? The same old 1950s, 60s shit that Hubbard did. It's the same old stuff. They have not come up to present time, as Hubbard said, come up to present time. Well, Scientology, thankfully, you have not come up to present time. So for the rest of the world, it's very obvious. They have this grade school, always attack, never defend. So, of course, now here's the deal. Had they been a kind church, a real church, they would have said something like, we're really sorry these people left 10 to 30 years ago. They weren't doing well and they left and that's it. And we don't do that stuff. So that's where it's at. They can say they did, and maybe they did back then, but we don't know. But here's what they did instead. They took out a full page ad against Alex Gibney, sliming him, and on their Freedom magazine, which is another horseshit thing that they run, they took 12 people and just absolutely slimed them. Now, is there any truth in it? There may be. But the point is, all of us, you, me, everyone, And I know this from Scientology, frankly, because I was trained as a senior sect checker, meaning you go into session and you say, what things have you done that you're not happy with? What things have you done? What overts have you committed? Right? And I learned from that, honestly, before that time, I really thought I was the worst person in the world, and very few people had done as awful things as I have. I know I don't look like it, but I've done a lot of shit. I really have. But in those sessions, I realized everyone everyone has done some stuff that they don't necessarily feel good about. Everyone. There's not anybody who hasn't. So, okay, they take your personal whatever and blow it up like that's your entire life, and thus proves you're a liar, you're evil, you're this, you're that. No, that isn't true at all. And I invite you to get the book, read the book, because everyone's waiting for the documentary, which is coming out on the 16th of March, and that'll be on HBO. But if you don't have HBO or you can't wait, read the book. The stories are in there. They're fantastic stories. And Scientology, thank you for proving you still do the same stuff today. By the fact that you're sliming these people, you prove exactly what's in the documentary. Thank you. Now, for 20 years, they would call me. There's somebody on a radio station. Call them up. Give them your wins. So I would call up. Oh, my name's Tori. Blah blah blah. This isn't true. I stood up in court, and I honestly believed it wasn't true. Now, did I know what Margaret Singer was really saying about Scientology? No. All I knew was fair game had been canceled. Well, has fair game been canceled? Absolutely not. They just proved it this weekend by writing the slime about excuse me, Alex and the people in the movie. They proved there's still fair gaming. What happened is at the bottom of the fair game policy, he actually canceled the name fair game. And at the bottom, it says this policy does not apply to suppressive people, which of course is anyone that speaks out against L. Ron Hubbard or the Church of Scientology. So for 20 years, they would call me up. There's a radio station. There's a magazine. You need to write them, blah, blah, blah. And I did, because I really and truly believe they must be liars because Scientology is so great, even though it wasn't really working for me. You see what I mean? But they make you feel like it's just you, Tori. You're the only one it's not working for. Look at all these other people. They're all having huge wins. Are they? Hell no. All of us, as we get out, you share. Now, some people had some wins. I'm not saying there's none, but they're basically things that you can get for $19.95 at a bookstore. The same wins or better, right? And theirs are thousands of dollars. They don't have answers to things. The things that are good are things Hubbard took from, like Buddhism. He took it. Yes, it has thousands of years of working and being great, but it's not L. Ron Hubbard's. It's just he repackaged it and put his name on it and said it was his. It's not his. And so the few good things that are in Scientology are from other things that are mostly free, right? So Scientology will always say anyone who speaks out and tells the truth about them is a liar. That's their basic thing. And thank you for showing the world the Church of Scientology and David Miscavige, thank you for being such an absolute and utter moron that you would pay, as Alex said, I didn't think they'd pay $250,000 to promote the documentary, but they did. And as a result, instead of going to Sundance and leaving and having people say, wow, we saw this movie, this documentary about Scientology and yada, yada, and it would have pretty much died away. But instead, it is going around the world with interviews with various different people about this documentary. Now it is in highlighted, boom, come see the documentary. Learn about this organization. They are not who they say they are. And believe me, you need to find out who they really are. Okay? And thank you to everyone. Thank you to Lawrence Wright for writing the book. Thank you to Alex Gibney for making the documentary, and everyone else that is behind the scenes who helped make that documentary, and all the people that are in it who told their stories. I cannot thank you enough. It's a wonderful year for all of us who have been critics and speaking out, exposing the abuses of the Church of Scientology. And have a great day. I love you guys, and have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.